Hello and welcome back to the Portsmouth Comic Con podcast. Bit of a different guest on this episode, one that I'm really excited to speak with, conductor Pete Harrison. Hello, sir.
Hello, Luke. Nice to see you.
I'm honoured to be able to speak with you today. So I will be coming to see you perform soon at the Portsmouth Guildhall for the Heroes and Superheroes event. And I thought this would be a perfect guest, even though sadly you won't be at Portsmouth Comic Con this year. This is the perfect event for geeks and nerds, all lovers of music, to come together and listen to some fantastic live music. So can you tell me a bit more about Heroes and Superheroes that will be coming to the Guildhall on the 21st of March this year?
Yeah, we've got a fantastic concert full of music from all the big films based on the theme of any heroes, superheroes. The lovely thing is we can bring these films back to life, I think. You know, you can do scenes from some of these films, just doesn't work. But if you hear something like Lawrence of Arabia or Superman live in concert, there is nothing like, I always say this in my concerts, nothing like the sight and sound of a real orchestra. And just to hear that opening da 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 da, and immediately you can feel the room just going, wow, it's Superman.
I've already got chills, and we will talk about that fantastic score in a moment. But how did this life begin for you, this wonderful world of music?
I grew up, I guess, in quite a musical background. My parents both, my mum played, dad listened a lot, so there was always music going on in my house. I was lucky growing up at the time when there were lessons available in schools, which there aren't so much these days, which is, I think, a crying shame. But just to have the opportunity, our school had an orchestra. I'm from a place called Backwell, just southwest of Bristol, and I played, well, first of all, recorder groups in my infant school, would you believe? And it just went onward from there. I realised I was quite good. I was a bassoonist in my day, and I played in our fantastic, again, county orchestra, which not all counties have orchestras again these days, which again is a crying shame, I think. And then I wasn't sure what to do afterwards, but enough people said, well, no, you're good enough. Why don't you try for music college? So I did, and I had a very successful career as a bassoon player for quite a long time. But then my interest just went a little bit into the other side of things, conducting, had some opportunities. But I'd always played all styles of music. I always listened to all styles of music. I loved some big band stuff. I loved the film scores. First time I heard Star Wars, back in 1977, I was sat there in the cinema going, orchestra can do this, because it was mainly synthesizers before that, wasn't it, for quite a long time. And then the orchestra had kind of died in the film score. So it was just a combination of all those things, I think. And I tried my place at college. I got a place at Royal College, studied there. I came out the far end of it and went into profession, but then just took the opportunities as they arose. I taught for a long time as well. I've just recently stopped doing that now, but only because I'm so busy with all this, trying to get all these concerts together. I present them as well. I like to talk a little bit. As you can hear, I do like to talk.
That's good. That's what we wanted.
But I just like to talk about the music and about the films themselves and how the music works with it, and maybe why the composers wrote what they did and all this kind of thing. I hope just to bring it to life for all the audiences so they go away with a great big smile, maybe inspired to watch new movies they've not seen before, or rewatch some of the greats again, because they always do the second, third, fourth, 12th watching, I think.
And that's the thing. I've been fortunate enough to see a few orchestral movies brought to life, and also a few nights where sort of some fantastic collections of soundtracks have been played. And you quite rightly put it, that there's nothing like live music. And when a score, anything that's powerful can hit you, and you can feel that in a room filled with people, it's fantastic. Quite a few years back, I managed to watch the Superman movie played with a live orchestra at the same time. And again, if you can ever experience that, I can't recommend it enough. For you, what's it like bringing these scores to life?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I get the best seat in the house, I think, because I'm stood there in front of this orchestra. And again, when you hear the two notes of Jaws or the pulse of Interstellar or any of these, amazing scores, I'm stood in the middle of it, and I'm not, I wouldn't say controlling it. I suppose I'm helping it. I like to think, rather than controlling it, but it's an amazing feeling, and I am just one big goosebump when I do this stuff. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, so that's a perfect way to put it, I think. I mean, for people that are a fan of lovers of movies and the soundtracks as well, they go hand in hand. But when you're in a room and you hear that score, or you hear or sometimes feel the first few notes of that track that you've been waiting for, you think, this is it, I'm ready. And it makes you, I feel, appreciate the music and the film a little bit more. Now, you're going to be playing a lot of films and themes on this night coming up. I mean, it must be hard to pick a favourite, but which one are you really excited to play?
Sounds a bit trite, but all of them.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. That's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, Lawrence of Arabia is a great score. There's something about that. I love scores when you hear it and you can almost, you have to then pick the sand out your shirt afterwards. That score is just sand dunes, isn't it? But no, I love Zimmer's score to Dark Knight as well. We're doing a couple of bits pushed together, Coriolanus and Ebtescus from that put together, which again works beautifully to my mind. And he can create, I think, with so few notes and not necessarily a major tune, very different from John Williams. He can create such a lovely atmosphere. The time from what's it called? Got the name of the film. Yes,
Interstellar.
No,
Yes.
the other one, Inception. Time from
Sorry, yes.
Inception. Again, just those simple piano chords, and they really get audiences going. So things like that, I absolutely love. But big fan of John Williams. So anything, I mean, Flight to Neverland is not a very well-known piece. It's from the film Hook. Tells the story of Captain Hook, but it's many, many years later on. Peter Pan's all grown up and he's working as a lawyer in New York. He's forgotten how to have fun, basically. So, yes, the Captain Hook reappears, so he has to take the flight to Neverland. So that's always been a favourite. But, things like E.T., Star Wars, which we're not actually doing in this one, are favourites as well. But and the Bond stuff, the ski chase is great fun. That's always
another fun one. There are some. Over the years, there's been some sort of epic Bond themes and sort of mixes on that original, but I think sometimes with a theme like Bond, you can't change it too much. I think Bond has got that song now, much like Superman has got John Williams' score. It's been remastered a little bit this year. We've got the new Superman film coming out, and it's been remastered a bit. But I love themes, so I'm looking forward to hearing all of those come out now.
Yeah, we're doing the ski chase on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which again, if you that is such a driving piece, and that theme, John Barry was another one, a great master in a few notes, a lot of repetition, but just a few notes, a couple of wonderful chords underneath, just made it work, I think. For me, that I just hear and see Bond skiing down, the side of, a beautiful mountain, so that works.
It's going to be a fun night, and I really cannot wait for it. So you mentioned you were you were a bassoonist before you became in this wonderful world. What was it like for you the first time you were performing in the front of the orchestra when you were conducting? What was that like for you?
It was a real pinch me moment, a real, me, I'm stood in front of my first professional orchestra was the Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra that I conducted at the big orchestras. The first orchestras I saw as a kiddie as well was Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra, so I've got this lovely connection with them anyway. It was unreal. It was me, kid from Somerset, stood in front of this amazing orchestra doing this amazing music, and we got on with it, and I was just stood there. It was almost like an out of body experience, I have to say. It's like I was looking back on myself going, look at that looks amazing. It sounds amazing.
You've seen yourself. Now, if you were in the audience, what would you be looking out for if you were watching yourself conduct? What are the songs that really get you moving?
Again, if anything that I can sort of really relate to the film or the emotion behind the film. I think Apollo 13 we're doing as well. And, I've watched that film a few times and I'm just still utterly amazed, the bravery of any astronauts that zoom themselves out into space because they just no idea what's about to happen. They have no idea that, that anything could go wrong as Apollo 13 did, but they got their way through and they got themselves back home again. I'll never forget a conversation with an astronaut. I can't remember his name, two Americans. In Portsmouth, we were doing a space concert then. And they will kind of come on and have a little chat first of all, and then I was going to come on and do the concert. And I was chatting to them, and I said, it's a great honour to meet the two of you. You've been up in space, you've orbited the Earth, you've looked through a porthole and seen planet Earth. I mean, that must be amazing. He goes, no man, that was nothing. I'll do that any day, but you would not get me walking on to conduct that orchestra ever.
There's two very different worlds collide. But I think that's the thing about it. It's being in one's comfort zone, as it were. Whether it be on space or on stage, we find those moments where we find the courage, and much like a hero, perhaps, you would come onto the stage and do your thing, and I can't wait to experience that. Now, as I said, I've seen a few concerts live, and they are fantastic. Sometimes I don't know whether to look at the orchestra or the conductor. It is a treat for the eyes and the ears. Now, over the years, I've got my own baton. Now, it's...
Oh, look at that. Very good.
I got this when I was speaking with Anthony Gabrielli a few years ago. He conducted the Superman in concert, and it was a wonderful moment to sort of finally speak with him, how he, again, gets in the zone, much like we're having a conversation now. How many batons do you think you've had over the years?
Not many, actually. I used to work a lot in the West End doing shows there, so you've got through a few more in that environment, should we say. But since doing more proper concerts, I look after them like crazy. They're very personal to you. They are, they fit. They're not the work. It sounds silly, but they're the right balance, and it does make a difference. It must be an extension of your arm. So when I'm conducting, I've got to be so clear about what I need for the orchestra. So I've got to know here what's going on, my tempos. I've got to know the feeling. Do I want them to play happy? Do I want them to play sad? Do I need them to play really quietly? So I can sometimes just the smallest of movements here with a stick, even a stick that long. I'm out of my camera shot, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
You just got to be so small. Then other times you could just be enormous and wave your arms around like an absolute fool. But I just want to make sure that they watch me, they know what I'm talking about, and the baton is a good way to keep that. So I currently own 3 of my sort of concert batons, as it were, which probably isn't enough.
Okay.
But they're difficult to get hold of these days, the ones that I tend to use. So yes, at some point I'm going to have to address that. So if any good baton makers out there, do drop us a line.
Yes. So what makes a good baton then?
It's just, for me, it's just got to be the right weight. It's got to fit in your hand. Some people like bigger grips at the end. Some people don't like any grip at all. I just like I think same as yours, that you had a little bulb on the end of yours,
Yes.
didn't you there? Yeah, so it's a similar thing to that. But it can't be wobbly. So as you put the beat down, the thing can't wobble. It's
right, okay.
It's got to be just the right balance as well. So you're not feeling you're fighting the thing. It sounds a bit like Harry Potter and his wands, I guess, isn't it? In many ways, they do pick you, I think.
I like that. I mean, there is a power to it. Well, I will bring this on the night, on the 12th, just in case for some reason yours, hopefully it doesn't get lost. Well, I'll have a backup for you, Pete, just in case.
I'll be looking out for you, Luke. Thank you.
Over the years, though, I mean, you've had some fantastic moments performing with many different orchestras, with many different tours. What's been one of your proudest moments so far?
I think probably doing a concert with Bournemouth at the Royal Albert Hall was, as a kid, there was a book called The Great Jelly of London. I don't suppose for any reason you'd know of it, but it was a kid's book, and it was about how they used the Royal Albert Hall as a jelly mould. And it always struck me what an amazing building. I didn't know about Albertropolis. I didn't know about the Natural History Museum, the gardens, the Royal College of Music, which is where I went. And of course, the Albert Memorial. When I went there, I learned all about that. And I used to go across the Albert Hall the whole time to see concerts, because we often got cheaper or free tickets through college. So I remember the first time I played there as a young, and it was amazing. The school proms I played in a couple of times with my county orchestra from back in Bristol. But then the first time I actually got to do an orchestra, a concert there, it was a folk music concert for Classic FM, and it was just amazing. I was on day 3 of gastroenteritis as well, which didn't help.
No, I bet it didn't.
No, it was, I remember it for so many reasons, one of which was I passed out during the rehearsal. So yeah, it was a bit of a mess, but there's something about the smell of the footlights and the grease paint or whatever it was that, Dr. Footlights gets you through, as he's known. It's, you somehow can just say, right, I've got to do this concert because there's nobody else. Didn't have you in the audience with a spare baton or whatever. I had to get through that concert, and I did. So I remember it's just the most amazing view. The Albert Hall, wherever you go, to a prom, a rock concert, anything, it always looks stunning. And so to see it from stage again, and I've seen it from stage as a bassoonist many times, but to actually see it as a conductor, and the guy took us some lovely photographs from up near the organ. So there's very treasured possessions of me stood there doing my thing, holding on for dear life.
It's that theatre. I've only been there once, and it was for the Superman 78 movie and orchestra. I was able to go in and have a walk around the theatre before the audience came in. And just to be in that building, there's a sense of majesty about it. Certainly the historic. But the fact that I was told that there's not a bad seat in the house was so true. The
Yes.
fact there are so many. But I walked around and I went up high and I saw the stage from all different angles. And it's such a beautiful building. But when it's filled up, and when Anthony came out and tapped his baton and everyone warmed up, the place just went silent. And that's when that power of music truly hit me. What is it you think about, again, the power of music and movies that works so well, Pete?
I think it's the glorious 3. You've got the action, the visuals from the scenery, the lights, whether it's an opera, whether it's a play, whatever, but then to put the music in as well. That's why opera is one of the greatest art forms, because you have the drama that's going on, and then what the stage looks like, and the costumes, and all the rest of it. But then you put the music on. There's a lovely bit in Death of Siegfried that Wagner wrote, part of his Ring cycle, where the instruction is to nothing on stage. It's the mist from the Rhine as the funeral march eventually comes through. But he said, I want nothing else to distract the audience. I want them to listen to this music. And I think exactly the same with film music, that their job is to either, it can be very sort of not in the background score, but a really supportive score. Some of Silence of the Lambs, Howard Shaw's wonderful score, which if you do it in concert, it doesn't really sort of go, wow, it's not like a John Williams concert, it's not like a Zimmer concert. But in the film, it's such a beautiful score. It's so supportive and it works so well. But for me, and when you hear all that together, that's why I love it. And the fact we can then take that score out and turn it into a piece of music for the concert hall and take the audiences back into that film again. I think for me, I get the goosebumps. I'll be in tears when, for certain things, Saving Private Ryan, I'll probably be in floods up there when we do that. The story behind that, I'll say a little bit about it on the concert and how it came about. But imagine what it was like for the guys on Apollo 13, the families back home, what it's like for it. This originated from the Bixby letter that Lincoln wrote to Mrs. Bixby, because she'd lost 3 out of 4 of her sons, and the 4th was missing. He had to write yet the Bixby letters are fairly famous, and that's kind of what it's based on. Saving Private Ryan, they had to go and find, was he there, was he not there? They didn't know. It was really was quite something. So that's the thing for me. That's why music works so well. I mean, look at what John Williams did with 2 notes. You couldn't go near a swimming pool in the 70s because of those 2 notes, could you? And that's a beautiful story. That came back because the shark didn't work. They had this big plastic shark, and it was broken. They chucked it in the sea. They filmed it all out at sea rather than in a swimming pool or tanks, and chucked him in, and he sunk. That's when they had to revisit the idea. John always came up with this idea and played it to Stephen and just said, what do you think about this? And just thought he's joking. But then, of course, you now see those great camera shots go through the water with that music. Those 2 notes became the shark because the real one didn't work properly. But it's so much better just because of what the music's done to that film. One of his first great score, where he properly wrote themes that go with the music back in 1975, wasn't it, Jaws?
Yes, I can't wait for these notes to hit me yet again. And of course, the classics, me being a self-obsessed geek, I can't wait to hear these fantastic scores from comic book movies and adventures as well. But I'm just a lover of the musical of it, and that element of going out and having a feeling like having a real night out. Yes. This isn't sort of a night at the cinema or a night just down the pub. This is an experience. And I can't wait to be in that room and just feel the enjoyment from everyone. There's going to be people there that have been and seen live music before. And I know there will be people there that haven't experienced it. And I can't wait for them to just step away and have a greater respect for the music, but also the films as well. And I'm hoping it should bring some younger people forward and bring them a greater love for music. I think with the superhero films and films recently, they have had great scores. So hopefully this will inspire the next generation. But what are you hoping that soundtracks might sound like over the next 50?
I hope they keep orchestral is a big thing for me. I do understand the meeting up of electronics with soundtracks, with live music. And I think we're all in a good place with it. We're getting to the point where we can do and include elements of electronics. The computer technology these days, running a laptop to play the keyboard part in, you can do it in such a way it sounds, press that button, there's a choir, and it can come from the back of the room somewhere. You can then play that and you've got a sitar or a zither or bagpipes or uilleann pipes or something but coming from down there. So we can recreate a lot of these sounds which are very instrumental. I mean, Zimmer, the whole point of Zimmer was his mixing up of his great love of keyboards from the early days of playing in the Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star,
Yes.
This kind of stuff, right the way through to, the latest scores he's doing at the moment. But, that just a little electronic bump, bump, bump in the background, it can make all the difference, I think. But I just really hope, and I think we're in a good place, that it stays orchestral. I've got great pleasure of working with quite a few composers, and I'm forever saying, oh, great, there's a new film out. Can we please have an orchestral suite of Gladiator 2, for example, which is coming out, and the film's out now, as you know, but the score is going to be done, the suite is going to be done, the London Soundtrack Festival coming up shortly, which is another thing I've just a little plug for, because it's a fantastic gathering of film scores, of video game scores, get a chance to hear composers talking, do check it out. London Soundtrack Festival. I'm doing a video game concert in it. So at the Roundhouse in London with the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra. So please do come on and listen to that as well. Yeah, that's going to be quite something. All the composers are going to be there. All the composers are going to be there.
And that's what I love about this modern world now, is that there are so many different sort of genres coming together. There is some fantastic, again, as you said, music in video games now, and animations and TV shows. And to be able to find a new passion, to find a new fandom, and then go somewhere like London or Portsmouth or Bournemouth to see this music brought to life. It gives you a closer connection to the things that you love. You are doing hero's work, Pete, I must say. By, you can feel brave on that stage when you step up to the podium. Will there be a cape on the 21st? Because you can borrow mine. I've got a Superman cape if you want.
I couldn't possibly say, Luke. I'd have to kill you if I told you.
Well, I do like it. I do like a tease, Pete. I do like a tease. Now, it's not on the genre of superheroes, but I would say more time travel. If you had a wonderful time machine and you could go back in time and experience a classical composer conduct or hear any sort of piece of music for the first time, where would you like to go?
There's a question. I'd have a few of those, I think.
Okay, you can have some.
Yeah, I'd love to have heard Beethoven's Ninth Symphony for the first time. The first time he used those strange Turkish instruments we now call cymbals, which caused not a riot at the time. I'd love to have heard the first performance of The Rite of Spring, where the genuinely work by Stravinsky, but the first ballet with the Ballet Russe in Paris. It was remarkable, apparently. There were riots when they first heard this remarkable music. It's just incredible. I'd love to have seen Shostakovich or Prokofiev do some of their concerts. Shostakovich especially, I think, because he supports so much against the system. You will write this kind of music. You will write happy, jingoistic music to show how wonderful the Russian state is, or even the USSR, which it would have been, I think, just remarkable to have actually met those people, to actually talk to them, if I could have done, just to say, what's it like writing in this world like this? Various people escaped. Korngold escaped Holocaust in Germany. When the Anschluss happened, he was over in America writing Robin Hood as a guest of Hollywood, and the first of the great Hollywood golden great composers to go over there. And so that would be, I'd love to have seen the recording sessions of that as well. I think that'd be quite remarkable, especially when you found out, actually, you really better not go home. He stayed and worked in Hollywood as a remarkable young composer. So yes, time travel. I'd love to have a time machine where you could be seen. That's the thing. You could interact but not interfere with the timeline and be safe. I think that's the thing. Yes, I think we see that in most time travel films, is that it's when you start interfering with the history, that's when all the bad stuff happens. But no, very good answers. I mean, that's one of those things where you as a musician, you can go back and appreciate more. You tend to hear more or sense something, a change in the tempo. I love that. I mean, as you said, there are lots of new orchestral pieces coming out with some fantastic sounds. Now, I know that the Dune soundtracks, they've had some very unique instruments performed on stage. What's been one of the more unique instruments that you've helped bring to life on stage, Pete? Crikey. There's a question. Choirs, they're not unique. I know, but trying to bring a choir into an orchestral setting from a keyboard is always tricky, always quite interesting. What have we done? We've done elements of bagpipes in the past, but again, they're not that unique. The Dune soundtrack is remarkable because he uses all sorts of ouds and things like that, which are sort of the native guitars, the native. When some of the recordings that I've done, that's all tracked already. I remember we did a big thing, it's a big trailer for something, which I won't say the name of it, but it was a big American thing. And all the Americans came over and very excited to record up at Abbey Road, and had a chat about the videos, doing a video of the making of. And the guy said, so where are the drums going to be? I said, there won't be any drums, I'm afraid. All the big taiko drums that you hear on the track. And I said, well, no, that's all going to be pre-recorded, because we're just going to be doing strings, brass, wind, the orchestral side of it in the studio. He was so disappointed. He had all these shops lined up for the big taiko drums and things. So a lot of the time when you do get these authentic ethnic instruments, which, create such wonderful sounds, Ulian pipes are one of my favourites, or the Cumbrian pipes, from up north a bit here. I think they sound so haunting and gorgeous, Braveheart kind of style soundtracks. They're just wonderful to hear. So, but unfortunately, they're usually pre-recorded or whatever to get. It's very difficult live on stage to get someone in who's a specialist just for one piece, or you have endless, in which case, stop those bloody pipes. There's too much of it.
There's too many pipes now.
Yes. It's like a banjo, just enough, but not too much.
I do love that, though. Over the years, though, there have been many, many films. It may be quite hard for you to pick a favourite soundtrack. We've mentioned Bond, but what are your sort of top 5 movie soundtracks pick?
It can be all John Williams, which is probably wrong, isn't it? But
No,
E.T.
that's not wrong at all. Not wrong at all.
I love E.T. I was as a kid as I watched it. Again, not a kid, I was that bit old, but it was at a time in my life, I remember it struck me listening to it. And again, that wonderful sound, the lovely little tricks. I didn't realise till later on that the first half of the film, you only ever see kids. Adults are only ever seen from the knees or the waist downwards. It's the Fred Quimby thing, isn't it? You know, Tom and Jerry. You don't ever see the full adults. It's only from, and they filmed all in order as well. I love that, just because there's so many kids in it that they couldn't do right that scene, then that scene from the end. They did it all together. But irrespective of that, I think the soundtrack, the flying theme, and so on, all the bits and pieces is amazing. Star Wars, the main 77 film Star Wars, Jaws as well, I think for me is a huge one. I'm going to put on Majesty's Secret Service in there as well, I think.
Okay, that's nice mix up.
Yeah, so again, it was a big fan of John Barry. I do love his work. But Corngold I'm a huge fan of as well. So I'll put something like Captain Blood in there as well, just to get us balance things up a bit. But James Horner as well, crikey, Avatar, I thought was pretty cool.
Oh yes,
that's too many now, isn't it?
It's a good mix. I would love to have a search for your playlist or your CDs or your vinyl, just to see all the different collections of music on there.
Well, funny enough, people have often asked me this, but I don't actually listen to that much music.
Really?
When
does it feel like work too much, or?
An element of that, yes. There are times when I finish work, when I'm sat here, I'm studying my scores, doing my arrangement, do whatever I'm doing, I've got so much music in my head all day, or people send me stuff. Could you have a listen? Here's the latest mix of this. Have a listen to this. What do you think? You're surrounded with it all day. So at the end of the day, I love to go and cook something, maybe open a nice bottle of wine, and but then I might put something different on, something completely different on, or just have silence. I know is probably people think you've been listening to music the whole time. I am, but the new track or something will come out. I'll put it on my ears as I'm walking around, or in the car, or on a train, if I'm doing concert research, or learning this lovely thing, as well as learning the video game concert material. That's a lot to learn. So I tend to have that in my ears the whole time. So I might go in the kitchen and start cooking, but I will have the latest, this suite from Baldur's Gate or whatever on in my head instead. It probably never stops, I'd say. A friend asked last night, said, do you ever take a day off? I said, no, not really. No, because, it's Monday now, and I worked all of Saturday and all of Sunday just doing stuff, because there's always stuff that's got to be done. I guess my work, it feels exponential. It just never stops. You can always do that little bit more. Certain things are, preparing tracks for things, or, that score, that arrangement's done, emailed off, that's finished. But learning all these scores I've got to do now for this concert and making sure I get it right, and just reminding myself, I'll probably watch all the films again before we start, just for fun. That's
an idea.
That's the joyous part of it for me. Magnificent Seven, the first one would take, that's a whole evening. The wonderful David Lean, but they're having intermissions in them. That even on the DVDs now, because they had to change all the tapes over and so on and so on. But they were just too long. They were so long, David's films. But one of the master cinematographers, and him and Maurice Jarre, great collection of things for Lawrence of Arabia, and it takes forever. So. But no, it's just fun watching all the others. From Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, we're doing the what's it called, the Vow, the Eternal Vow, and the main theme, Crouching Tiger. So give a chance to feature our principal cellist Jesper Svedberg, who's going to be playing the cello solo in that Yo-Yo Ma's cello solo he did. So yeah, it never stops though, but all good fun.
And that's what I'm excited about. Just hearing your passion, not only for the music but the films, but of the craft. The craft of the orchestra, what you're helping to bring to life as well. I know it's going to be a fantastic evening on the 12th. I know this is touring as well. There will be links to that in this podcast, but I'm excited to experience it. Just a few short weeks after this, Portsmouth Comic Con will be happening in the same building. Lots of probably different outfits on that day, but still fandoms and passions coming together. And I think now we are so lucky that all these forms of entertainment are merging together. Fans of video games or movies or classical music or rock music, we can all get together to appreciate different elements of art and performers. So it's going to be a fantastic time.
And I think they will join together. Films and video games, they're already getting very close. I think we will get to the point where you can sit and watch a film, you can sit and play a video game, but you can also have that interaction between the two. Thank goodness for everybody out there with a passion. I love watching train spotters. Don't ask me to go and do it. I'll do it for 10 minutes to chat to them and find out what makes them tick and have share a flask of coffee with them. But, I would defend their right to do it to my dying breath, because I think that's what makes us so unique. The fact that people are into classical music, into different forms of knitting or non-competitive crochet, whatever it is, you're always going to find something somewhere. And, thank God for people with passion, because without it, my God, wouldn't well be a dull place.
It would be very boring. And that over the years of hosting podcasts and interviewing people and just speaking with people in day-to-day life, when you start talking about the passion, much like you are now, Pete, this little light comes on inside somebody and they're more emotive, they're more animated, they're more excited, and they remember more things about the things that they love.
Yes.
So yes, the world would be a very boring place. So I think I'll do this the same the next time I see a train spotter, because I'm quite curious about it.
Yes.
They know all the facts, they know all the numbers. I would like to know more about trains.
Yes, and I love meeting people at these concerts because they know so much more than I do about specific things. I'm the first to say I'm not a video game player myself, so doing this video game concert coming up is an interesting thing. I'm just doing so much research at the moment about just trying to find out about the games, and the music is one thing. I can hear that and see the scores, but just find out why and talk to the composers about why and so on. So if I've got that, then I find it easier to perform the music live in the roundhouse. So that's for me. That's I love it.
And that's it, because even with some video games, there are certain levels, as it were, where you know a certain song's coming or a certain theme's coming up, and it makes that game more enjoyable.
Yes.
And it's all about, again, with music, it is a big part of nostalgia. Whether it's remembering when you saw E.T. for the first time, or when you saw Superman, or that Bond scene, music is powerful. And this is going to be a great night of theatre and music and people coming together. It's going to be a brilliant night. How would you recommend heroes and superheroes to somebody that's never been to a live music event before?
Come with an open mind and sit back and prepare to be taken to some wonderful, wonderful places. You're going to see 80-odd people on stage there. And apart from the keyboard, only because we can't get a real piano onto stage, and we do need to bring a couple of elements of some of these new sounds we're talking about. We're doing, say, some Dark Knight stuff, and we could just do it orchestrally, but if you listen very carefully, there'll be a boom, 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 just quietly going in a couple of corners, and a few just little bits and pieces that makes it, the trademark Zimmer sound. So, but apart from that, it's people playing live instruments, and an orchestra is the sum of its parts, so every single bit just joins together to make this wonderful, wonderful sound. My neighbour came to see a big John Williams concert we did in Portsmouth a few years ago, and he was just blown away. He said, because that was all live instruments, so we didn't use a fake keyboard on that one. And he just said it was just, everything was real. Everything was real. There wasn't this people generating the sound, and he was in tears. He was cheering. He was everything about it. So yeah, come and enjoy. Being taken to wonderful places and leave with a great big smile on your face at the end of it.
That's the perfect way to promote this event. I said it's my birthday on the 17th of March, so this turns up almost my birthday week. I'm going to end it with this fantastic night with you and the fantastic Bournemouth Orchestra. It's going to be a brilliant time. I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. Where can people keep up to date with what you are getting up to online, Pete?
What I do, Instagram, no idea what my name is, but Pete Bruce Harrison, I think I go down as. On my website, peteharrison.biz. I try to keep that as updated as I possibly can. Yes, and you can see all the things I'm up to and whereabouts in the world I'm going to be next.
Very exciting stuff. Again, the links to all those websites and your social media channels will be included in this podcast, Pete. Have a fantastic day. I can't wait to see you perform on the 21st of March. And enjoy the rest of your week, sir.
Thank you very much, Luke. Lovely to meet you. And thank you to all your listeners, and look forward to seeing you at any of our concerts.